Okay, so we have a long awaited video for some of you, as I get comments pretty much on almost every video asking for my ARC build. So that is what we will be going over today, my ARCSTRIDER ARC Hunter build. No, it is not better than Prismatic Hunter. No, it is not meta. No, it is not that easy to use, but it is actually a ton of fun, and it's pretty much all I use these days. If I'm playing PvP, I'm going to be on ARC Hunter. Also, I feel that the current meta is not great for the ARC Hunter specifically. This build kind of relies on being in close quarters and close range, very aggressive and mobile. And the last few metas have just been very passive and safe, so it kind of counters it a bit, but it is still pretty good and still definitely usable. And like I said, most importantly, it's a lot of fun. So even when you play aggressive in this meta, it's just the meta is always safe, right? Triple Titan, yeah, you can be aggressive, but you have 3 barricades to make up for any mistakes, so it's still pretty safe. Prismatic Hunter, you can push up and be aggressive, but you have 2 dodges, 2 clones, infinite smokes, and grenades. So you pretty much can cover any mistakes with that as well. So the meta is all just about being safe, and the ARC Hunter doesn't really have that, at least not to the same level. So I think that's kind of why it's definitely out of the meta right now. You do have some utility to stay alive, which we will cover, but not nearly sort of at that level. So first off, the supers. Well, we actually have 3 very good supers. You really can't go wrong with any of them. The first is Storm's Edge, which probably should be the go-to. Some people think it's the best in the game, which it might be. It might be the best super in the game. Personally, I don't like it because it seems inconsistent. I don't know if it's my connection or a skill issue, but I don't like it. The sort of like whiffing, and I don't know, people just jump and it doesn't hit them, but when I jump, I just get rolled by it. So I really don't understand how it works. The traditional sort of ARCSTRIDER super is also very good. They kind of buff the supercharge rates, so you can get it. It does charge a bit slower, so something like Trials, you might not get it as often. I mean, you definitely won't get it as often, but it is a very good super. It's one of the best roaming supers in the game, so you can't go wrong with that. You really can't die in it. You just block. It's very good, so still a good super. And you can beat pretty much any other supers, but it does take some effort. It's not like a free counter to anything, but you can pretty much beat almost any other super. You just have to know how to do it. It will lose to some, but for the most part, it's like a pretty good matchup against a lot of roaming supers. And finally, we have Gathering Storm, which you'll probably see the most of in these clips because that is the one that I use. So I like Gathering Storm because it charges just as fast as the new ARC Super, but it's just a safer option to me. Like for me personally, I usually get 1 or 2 people with the Storm's Edge and then die because I'm so out of position, or I whiffed, or I spent all 3 hits trying to get it to register on one guy and I just trade or something. So I just prefer Gathering Storm. I feel it's safer and a bit more consistent for me. I actually think that the super is pretty good. I think it's a lot better than most people probably think. I usually get 1 or 2, and then if not, it's pushing them so far out of position, like you have to run from it. A lot of people get jolted even if they don't die, so more often than not it's a free team wipe either way, but at least I'm like still in position. You can throw it across the map. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it. It's actually pretty good. Honestly, I think it's the most fun out of them, so these days that's kind of what I lean to. So I definitely use Gathering Storm. Now for the core of the build, which is the aspects. So the first aspect I use is Flow State. Basically, defeating a jolted target makes you amplified. And then when you're amplified, your dodge recharges more quickly, and you sort of get a damage like resilience buff. You take less incoming damage. So you get like the old armor dodge essentially. So basically it comes down to when you're jolted, you become harder to kill, you get a better dodge, you get your dodge back very fast. So it all revolves sort of around killing someone who is jolted. So how are we jolting people? Well, that is where the next aspect comes in, which is Lethal Current. After dodging, your next melee attack has increased lunge range, jolts the target, and creates a damaging aftershock. Now, we kind of know what these all do. It's not like a new subclass by any means, so we all kind of know how this works. But so you're gonna dodge before you even engage, sort of near the enemy. This lets you sort of build up your melee if you don't have it. It also I mean, lethal current will give you increased lunge range. So that's basically what you're doing. You're kind of banking on the lunge range, and that's where this build is actually really fun. And that's where it sort of like kind of shines, right? You really catch people off guard, and that's kind of the best thing about this is this lunge range you get from lethal current. And then also, since it's jolting people, it goes into flow state, so you get your dodge back quickly, you get your armor dodge. So it's very like close quarters, high risk, high reward kind of build, and it just kind of revolves around, like, honestly, I would use a shotgun. I mean, you can snipe on it, people do it in like tournaments and stuff, face it, things like that, but I think it's just makes more sense on a shotgun. I don't use this when I'm sniping. I mean, you can, but it's kind of like a nice like panic button if you're sniping. Like, you can dodge while someone's near you, and you can use sort of the melee lunge and everything to maybe stay alive a little better than you could, you know, since you don't have a close range weapon. But I prefer it on shotgun. And then for the melee, this is also important. You want to run combination blow. When you get a kill with it, you also get your dodge back. So it just kind of builds into sort of the whole class, just meleeing and dodging, meleeing and dodging. You know, this is very like popular in PvE. It's very good. I mean, it used to be very good in PvE. So it's just kind of like the whole build is just dodging near people and then meleeing. They also kind of blow up when you hit a melee, so that also can kind of get double or triple kills. Like the whole build is honestly pretty cracked. You're also blinding people from lethal current. So essentially, like I said, a perfect fight would go that you dodge as someone's pushing you nearby. You sort of outrange them with your shotgun maybe, and then finish it up with the melee because they're not expecting it, and sort of you go from there. Then you'll be more resilient, you have your dodge back, you have your melee back, like you just kind of stack it, right? And then as far as grenades go, I use the arc bolt grenade. You can use whatever, it doesn't really matter, but I do think that's the best one. And then you basically want to combo it with the spark of shock. This will jolt enemies as well, so grenade hits will jolt targets. Basically, it's just another way to apply jolt, and it's very strong in general. These arc bolt grenades with the spark of shock are no joke. It's actually a pretty strong grenade, especially in this meta where people are kind of grouped up, sitting on each other, team shotting. These grenades will mess you up. They can roll a whole team if you're not careful, so definitely don't sleep on them. It is a pretty strong grenade. You do take a 10 discipline hit, but I think it's worth it. The other fragments I run Spark of Recharge. This sort of just gives you your abilities back faster, mostly your grenade and your melee. And then I just run Spark of Volts for the plus 10 recov, and I run Spark of Haste as well. You can really fill in whatever you want. The specific ones that I use are like scrim legal, at least in most of the scrims I play, so that's kind of why I have it set up like this. I'm sure you could run something else, but none of them are too important. They kind of nerfed some of the stronger ones, and all the other ones aren't like, they're not like game breaking or anything like that. So it's really up to you on the fragments, but I would recommend Spark of Shock with the arc bolt grenade for sure. And yeah, that's pretty much the build. It's pretty simple. It's nothing new, it's nothing crazy, but I received a lot of comments about it. So pretty much on every video I've posted in the last like couple months where I'm on Arc, I would get multiple comments asking for the build. So that's what this is. But yeah, nothing crazy. It's not like I invented it. The subclass has been out forever, but that is what I run, and definitely give it a go. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, the meta kind of counters it, but I do think that if a couple things got nerfed, like, or the meta just shifted to something else, I think this would be a lot better. Like, it's not bad right now, it's just kind of countered. So if something else becomes more meta eventually, I mean, you know how Bungie is, probably like a year from now, then maybe a year from now it'll be pretty good. But yeah, we definitely need like some more prismatic nerfs across the board for this to be anything too crazy, but it is a lot of fun, so definitely give it a go. So yep, that's the build, but as always, I am awake, and I'll see you guys next time.